Welcome to the Your Little Castle Show, where we highlight the best experts that make your home into your little castle. Let's go! Welcome everyone to another episode of the Your Little Castle Show. It is important, I believe, as somebody who just thinks that the community is important, that you bring in the leaders in the community and the people that actually have a lot to do with the family, where they're going to live, giving people a residence, somewhere to raise their kids. Mm-hmm. In studio today we have Chris Purcell and Terrence Rogers. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, experts in the field. Thank you guys for taking the time to come in here.
Absolutely.
Well, this mortgage world, this finance world, the whole world is a bit different. Let's just say it, to put it lightly. Some big changes recently. Mm-hmm. Talk about what's going on in our world, and I want to jump into a list of questions that we've got that we want to go through to make sure.
Yeah. Well, we're coming off a crazy time when notoriously we've had refi booms in the past, and at the same time we had a refi boom and a purchase boom going on at the same time. Now all of a sudden with the rates climbing, it's kind of squashed a little bit, and it's making it a little more difficult for borrowers to be able to qualify for homes with these increased interest rates. So we are working vehemently to try and help people in the community, first-time home buyers, to be able to find their way into a home. I think it's the American dream to have a home. We joke around a lot of times and say we're making people's dreams come true. I know myself as a former loan officer, I head up the group now, but I've had numerous situations where once a loan closed, people would just break down. They never thought they'd be able to own a home, and they would just break down in tears, and it's very moving for you. You forget this is your livelihood sometimes, but you are getting people into homes where their families are going to gather, and they're going to raise kids, or their grandkids will come over. And I know Terrence has had some of those same situations we've talked before. So we take what we do for our career and making a living, we take it very serious. And I think we're tied to one of the more quality banks here in the St. Louis area, in Carrollton Bank, as our leadership is tied to not just servicing customers for banking needs, but servicing the community. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, we are here to help try to serve you in the best possible way we can. Yep. And I know Terrence does a tremendous amount of education and working with clients.
Yeah, and just to kind of echo off of what Chris is saying, we do a lot of work in the community, and buying a home, not only just the benefit for the bank, but it's more of a benefit for the community, and it's a way of building wealth for a lot of our customers. So in light of all of the rate changes and the things that are going on in the community right now, so everything's kind of crazy right now with the rates, but I would tell folks that are looking to buy a house, it's still a great time to buy, okay? Even though the interest rates are higher, which we've all seen lately, you can always buy a house now and refinance later, okay? Homes are still out there. It's still gonna be cheaper than renting. So I would still encourage a lot of the people that were looking for homes just to not be discouraged, but to still be encouraged that they can buy a house. We don't see any issues with getting approvals. We still have all the down payment assistance programs, which we're going to touch on a lot later. So it's still a great time to buy.
True, and I believe people understand when you get into the method of resources and things that people actually own. Sometimes the home is the single most valuable asset that they own, and if you never take the opportunity to own a house, then where are you at when you're in your 50s, 60s, and later in life, and you're going, I need something that has a tangible resource, and people can then use that later on in terms of other ways that they can use that resource. Carrollton has been become a staple in the community. I've watched a number of the ways you reach out to the community, some of the stuff you see on the networks that are really just a different approach, it seems, really tapping into, we want you to understand what we're about, and really interview and talk to some of the clients that you have. That's a neat approach. But what we talk about, is core thing that is most important, is the access. And I see on our notes over here that access to money is a key. Chris, do you want to talk about that more?
Yeah, it's important to get out there, and just to echo what Terrence said, it's still a good time to buy a house. And there is plenty of money out there. There's plenty of products available. Banks are wanting to lend. Carrollton is ready to lend. And we have plenty of money and products and time and effort and people to help you get into that next home. And just to echo something Terrence just said about you can refinance down the line. I've been in the business for 30 years now, and there's been 4 really major refi booms that lasted, at least 1.5 to 2 years. So of that 30 years, there's been about 8 years in there where you could go in and refinance your home and get into some of these better rates and save yourself some money down the time. So there is plenty of money out there. There's plenty of opportunity. It's a different market, but it's still a market that you can buy a house.
Absolutely.
And you talk about a little bit of the importance of credit worthiness. Now, people need to understand how important credit is. Talk about that for me.
It's the whole game. It's the entire game. Credit is the way that you can purchase a home. We talk about capital. A lot of people think that you need 20% down in order to buy a home, which is not true. I mean, we have programs where you can have as little as 3% down. We have a 100% portfolio loan that we have out there. We can use a FHA loan with 3.5% down, and then we can also access down payment assistance if you have the credit score. I often tell people when I do a lot of classes, if you have $100,000 cash, you realize a 700 credit score is better than $100,000 cash when you're looking to buy a house. If you think about it, if you have a 540 credit score and you have $100,000 cash, you can't buy a $250,000 house. Okay, but if you have a 700 credit score with about $5,000 in cash, along with some of the programs that are out there, you can buy a $250,000 house. So the importance of credit, I can't overstate how big that is to know your credit score and what that availability is for you.
And that talks about, and I'll throw it as if somebody who's been in the finance area and realm, and I've got my license for mortgages, understanding the importance of being able to get that credit, because
Absolutely.
And not to go off on a tangent too much, but Robert Kiyosaki, he made billions about using borrowing. Don't do it with somebody else's money, because it's hard to get that money up front, and if you can't do it, then at least somebody allows you to, and then you become wealthy with using those resources and be able to get there. All right, so home buyer education. Yeah. That's a key. You teach the classes for that, and you get a lot of people show up and say, and it's free. Is that right?
Absolutely. We've partnered with a local real estate office and a couple of nonprofits that we do home buyers education classes on a monthly basis, where they're completely free. We give you everything that you would need to know, all the tools, and get you prepared. So when you come in, you know exactly what you need and what's expected from the lender's perspective, also from the real estate perspective. So it's a very intense class. Usually takes about an hour and a half, but most of the people that finish this class, they're ready to go. They're pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, that's important, because so many people, their expertise is in whatever they do as a profession. And I'm a computer nerd. I get into but you start talking about fixing a roof, and I'm like, I don't know if they're giving me a deal or not. I don't know. How do I decipher this? So you're helping people understand, here are the key things you need to know so that you are getting the best loan for you.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And not only that, it's just there's some things that can happen throughout the process. A lot of times I tell folks that that they're worried, and they've heard all these nightmares about their friends or family members that went through the process, and it was a headache. And when you go through the class, we try to educate you on what you should and shouldn't do, and a lot of what you shouldn't do is what's in this class. And for instance, I've had people that have got pre-approved. They've come in and they've sent us all of their income, their assets, everything, and they start looking for a house. Finding a house could take 60 to 90 days. So finally they're under contract, and then they submit the contract to us. Well, that pre-approval we gave them is totally different than where it is right now.
So you talk about what to do when under contract, also what not to do. Is that kind of what you're alluding to? I mean, some things that can really mess up the deal.
Yeah, some of the things you do, don't spend the money that you gave to the lender. I mean, I always tell folks, once you're ready to buy, the money that you have, set that aside, put it in the savings account, and just forget about it. Don't go spending that money. I've had people go out and change jobs during the middle of the process.
Right.
That's a big no-no. That can cause a big problem with your underwriting process. We've had people to go out and buy a new car. I mean, throughout
Sure.
the process. I mean, it's just certain things you just want to, once you get under contract, you just want to keep everything vanilla. Do not do anything that's going to cause any issues. But the biggest thing you can do is communicate with your loan officer before you do anything. Talk to your loan officer. He's going to tell you, or they're going to tell you if it's right or wrong, not to do it. And that's going to help your process and make it a lot easier for you.
Some people might wonder why the car is such an issue, or the down payment. Both of them are relative to when you have made a decision. Here's the agreement. You got to put so much down. The car payment, it's a $300 more. When you're talking about, a lot of people don't understand DTI, debt to income, right?
Yeah,
And now you're in that ratio you need, and you're not over the limit, whatever that might be, 30, 40, 50%, and all of a sudden you add a car to it. Well, that's only $300. No,
Right.
it's $300 per month, and it ruins the DTI ratio a lot of times.
Blows it out of the water sometimes. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just to talk a little bit more on credit worthiness, we spend a lot of time working with borrowers, even after, excuse me, the homebuyer education, and getting them in, and maybe they're at a 610, but we run different reports, and it says if you pay this off, if you pay this down, we can rerun your credit and get a rescore, and a lot of times we can get those credit up.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know we had one the other day that it went from like 610 to 685. That takes you into a whole different level for pricing as well, so you get a better interest rate, and it just serves you all the way around. But yeah, probably one of the most notorious things that people do is they go get furniture or go get appliances right before they're closing, and they're taking on that debt. And I have customers go, well, how did you even know that? Well, as a lender, we have to track undisclosed debt, and we have to track any new debt that comes into play all the way up to closing to ensure when we are selling that security off to another institution or lender that this is their debt. This is their true debt to income, DTI.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things that happens is they go out and start buying the furniture the week before, go buy the appliances, and occasionally we get the car, that comes through. It's just like, oh, we tell, please, what are you doing? So, and unfortunately, we've had to deny people and kind of, punt and come back later after you get settled in and pay off a few things and work with them. And we've been able to kind of revamp and make it work, but it definitely throws a big old monkey wrench into the process when that happens.
Well, it's important. And essentially, becoming a mortgage loan officer, you become a counselor.
Yeah, you do.
Effectively say, here are the way things work financially
Yes.
in the real world, and the things you need to do for your life, right? This
Yes.
impacts their life.
Yes.
Very important, very, very important stuff. Talk about the different loan products out there a little bit. Most people are probably heard some of these phrases, some of these acronyms, but if you want to touch on a few of the ones that are important, because there's a number of ways to get a house.
Right.
So it's 7 ways to skin a cat, but which one is the one that's most effective for you and your family to get what you need?
So it's case by case, and we have several. We have all the full suite of products. We have an FHA loan. It's a federally backed. It's a government-sponsored program, and HUD oversees that program. Also, we have a VA program, which that's a military service-based program, and it's 100% financing, no down payment required. We have programs through USDA. Also, that's a rural development program. We have down payment assistance programs in Missouri and Illinois, MHDC, Missouri Housing Development Commission, and IDA, Illinois Housing Development Assistance Programs. And then we also have our portfolio programs. We have a professional loan program, which is 100% financing for if you are a doctor, an attorney, CPA, dentist, all of those. If you have a professional degree, you can get 100% financing, which is amazing. A lot of these folks that for their first houses, they might have some student loan debt, and they don't have to worry about a huge down payment. They can get 100% financing directly through our bank. And then we just have some other programs. One thing I like to go back on the education piece. Chris mentioned, it might be a denial, but you know what? We really never deny people. We always give them an option. We actually partner with a nonprofit in town where we can provide free credit coaching. So if someone that maybe they have an issue with their credit and they're not able to pay something down, and we can do a rescore, we can actually refer them to this free source where they can go in and get work with a counselor that will help them on their credit and not get charged for that, which is an amazing service that's offered through our bank.
Well, yeah. taking your aid to help the community from all angles. Pull out all stops. That's part of the Cardinal Cowboy method. My background with baseball was there was always a way. There's more than one way to win or score and get the job done. It looks like you guys have really covered it across the gamut to give all possible resources.
Just to add to that, we are going to be adding a 100% first-time homebuyer product too. That's going to be a portfolio-driven product. So we will have a full array of opportunities to help first-time homebuyers all the way through the process. And there's also a credit builder that we work with, and I know Terrence works with that a lot of times during his education events. And what a credit builder does is it allows a borrower to pay into a loan, and that loan is tied to a certificate of deposit at a very low interest rate that they are getting charged, and then they also make money off that CD. Well, that's a secured funds then. So while they're making their payments, we're reporting it to the credit bureau to help build the credit. It's considered an installment loan, so you get a better scoring on it. And then at the end, you have secured money that's typically around $1,000 to $2,000 that they can take and use as a down payment on a home, which a lot of times will get people where they need to go. And we do a considerable amount of those, and throughout everywhere from Springfield, Illinois, down to Arnold and St. Charles and everywhere. We do a fair amount of those, which is significant to help establish credit or improve credit. So
awesome, yeah. Like, again, all the gamut. You guys seem to have all the answers and multiple options for people, and that's really what it comes down to. I've seen instances where they just go, can't do it, not possible.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Talk to you guys, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
Terrence and Chris.
Don't give up yet.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Available grants, not-for-profit organizations and other related. You mentioned that kind of briefly. Is that tied into what we're talking about here?
Absolutely. So a lot of what I've done and the partnerships that I've created and I've worked with folks across the city and the county. We have a private program directly through our bank. It's administered through to the Federal Home Loan Bank, where a customer can get our Down Payment Plus program. They can get up to $6,000 in assistance as a first-time home buyer. But then we also partner with Better Family Life, Beyond Housing, Urban League, or just to name a few of the companies that provide education and also down payment assistance through St. Louis County and St. Louis City. In St. Louis County, someone can get up to $3,000 in assistance through those organizations, and then in St. Charles County, it's up to $5,000. In Jefferson County, it's up to $5,000. So there's lots of funds out there, but it goes back to the credit. The credit is the key. You do have to have a qualifying credit score. That score has moved over time. We've been able to get down payment assistance as low as a 620 or even a 600 in some cases. Right now that number has kind of moved. I would probably say you need to have at least a 640 credit score to qualify for a lot of these down payment programs, even when they're administered through these nonprofit organizations. But some great partners, amazing people out there doing the work and out there ready to educate and help folks access to capital. It's all the things that we've talked about. These organizations are, we work with them and they piggyback on us, and we've been able to help a lot of folks get into homes that way.
So add to it, all right. So we did decide we were going to break out the cowboy. Now we wear the hat. This is a method for. There's a message here, right? And that is getting it done. Cowboys are known for historically getting it done. And if you're going to do it the way that the cardinal kind of stands out across the planet, right? And that means you're going to do it the right way and do it in a fashion that makes sure that it's done and all the bells and whistles are accounted for, right?
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. And that's when I say, all right, now we're talking about the Cardinal Cowboy way that we make sure we're really helping the community, and that's clear. It's what you guys are working on, and so we're throwing out that message here. We put on the hat. All right, talk a little bit more about that, because along those lines, Federal Home Loan Bank. Beyond Housing, Better Family Life. I mean, there's a list of things that come into play here because of what you guys are bringing to the table.
Yeah, just the bank alone, over the past couple of years, we've given away almost $1 million to various borrowers through all the different programs, which is unprecedented, I think, in this area. I don't know that any other bank or lender out there could say that. Yeah. Free money. And a lot of times at the Federal Home Loan Bank, they say forgivable in 5 years. A lot of times we turn it in, they forgive it, and they've forgiven them in 3.5 years on some of them. And then you have other companies out there, LifeWise, Justine Peterson. They're doing these individual deposit accounts, which kind of acts like our credit builder. So they're working with borrowers in that same instance to save money. They're teaching them how to save money while they're working with people like Terrence to get the education on building their credit up and just understanding what it takes to be a homeowner. Understanding after you buy the home, your air conditioning may go out. You know, you might have a pipe break, something of that nature. So educating them on owning the home afterwards, you know, and the things that could happen to any homeowner out there. So and we work a lot with that.
That's key because there's so many people. This is not just a one-time purchase. You're in. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
This is something they're going to have to maintain for you know, the life of their loan, at least as long as they're living in a house. Some people want to keep these houses well beyond. They pay off the loan, and they still want a great house, and you've helped facilitate that whole process. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's very rewarding some days. It really is.
The ECOA. Can you explain that a little bit?
Equal Credit Opportunity Act. That was put in play years ago to ensure that regardless of race, creed, color, persuasion, that you are eligible to get a home loan or get credit opportunity just as anyone else. And that's been put out there for years, and banks are supposed to lend to that. Some just quite honestly are a little more aggressive with serving their various communities than others. I can't sit here and say anything bad about it because it's, you know, everybody has their own philosophy and their own way of going about running their bank. But the Equal Credit Opportunity Act we take very seriously at Carrollton Bank, and I think Terrence could vouch for that and all the work that we do. He's president of community lending and development for us, and he's our face of that out there. And we're getting doubles and triples right now, if you want, and occasionally some home runs, or everybody else maybe trying to get some singles, and maybe get on base with an error or something. So, but we think we're hitting some doubles and triples and driving in some runs in that arena. So it's difficult sometimes because you have so much compliance in this industry. But the compliance is driven to, just like ECOA, to ensure that you're lending to everybody and that you're not turning anybody away. And we don't have to watch the videos on what to do and what not to do. I think our bank just does it.
Yeah, we practice what we preach.
Yeah, we practice what we preach, very much so.
Yeah.
Well, equal lending, just doing what's right to help the community, and you don't do that just part of the time. You do that all the time. That's why Carrollton Bank has been well established, and a staple in our community. National Fair Housing Alliance. I'm jumping around on you a little bit here. But tell me,
I was,
that sounds like a big thing.
Yeah, I was a part of a program at a conference in New York here about a month or so ago, and the National Fair Housing Alliance, Homeownership Council of America, they were all there and just talking about what lenders can do and what lenders are doing well. And everything that they talked about that lenders need to be doing, I was like, oh, we're doing that. Carrollton's doing that. We're doing this. So I felt really good about it. But what's sad is a lot of these rules have been around for well over 50 years, and you still have a very low homeownership rate with the minority sector of the population. And it's an American dream, again, to own a home, to build wealth through that home. A lot of times people will retire when they get to retirement age and they have a little bit that they've saved, but they have the house that they've paid on all those years and they own it. They no longer have that debt, just the upkeep. And that's something that is also legacy for them that they can pass on. And that's important to some of our clients out there, that they have build wealth that they can pass on to the next generation and make it better for the next generations.
So then with regard to the ECOA and just the history, this is something that now they're trying to spur a little more. It says not much activity over the last 50 years, but now we're really starting to kick that in. And you can see we've got some breakdown with regard to the homeownership rates. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the homeownership rates historically, the white population is 74%, Native American is 48%, Asian Pacific Islander 56%, and Black is 44%. So there's some pretty deep variations there that even though we've had these laws in place for so long, you still, any common sense approach to it is why? Why do we have such 25% lower in all the rest of the minorities not being homeownership? And you've got to look into that, how to get to those communities, how to help them get into, being able to build wealth just like everyone else. It can't be anything but good for the entire nation to have this group be homeowners. It's gonna be a positive thing, but it takes a lot of education, and that falls back in what Terrence does.
And I was going to echo what Chris is saying. I mean, the numbers are there. They didn't get there by mistake. It's because of some of the practices that happened, 40 years ago, and it just takes time to build that. And that's what we're doing. We're building something that can be repeated, and we can, get the education out there, let the access to capital, all those things are what's going to move the needle and move that. So while it's 44% nationally, those are national numbers.
Right.
Those numbers are actually lower in St. Louis.
Yes.
The numbers are actually about half of that in St. Louis. So we have a big charge here. So that's why it's so important to us that we are getting this information out there and showing folks that you can be a homeowner, and you don't need 20% down. It's a matter of working on your credit, accessing a lot of the capital that's out there, working with a lot of the programs, and you can be a homeowner.
Yeah, and that's key to our culture and helping the whole community across the country, because when you've got a stake in it, then it makes it more valuable to everybody, and they want to contribute and make sure that this is good for everybody. And I think that's a good policy. That's good to see you guys are really working towards that, because this is hardly even mentioned most anywhere else, and that really makes a difference, I think.
Yeah.
And it starts at the top. I mean, we preach this to everyone in our bank. It's not just me; it's the entire bank. Is out there trying to do this and make a difference.
Yeah. There's an old saying: "Speed of the leader, speed of the team." And I think we have a CEO who chooses to serve the community, regardless of where the bank is sitting in that community, which makes it easy for us to carry out what we should do, and according to compliance and according to just doing the right thing sometimes, and we feel good about that.
Very cool. Well, we're very fortunate. No matter what happens, it seems, in this country, because of the way they kind of founded it many years ago and saying, hey, we got a different way we can manage this. So let the people do their thing. Now we always seem to find a way.
Yeah.
And we've gone through tough times, up times, down times, but in America we seem to come through. It's great to have leaders like you guys who sit there and take the time to really study this, make it happen, figure out how to get it done, and turn over every rock to get there.
It's not the easy way. It's not always the easy way. We don't take the easy road all the time. We call it at work, we call it the Carrollton Bank way. And it's just going above and beyond customer service, just trying to do, when you think you've exhausted everything, just look another direction. You got to figure out something.
And I'm certain there's a number of Cardinal fans that have come through the door over the years.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Lots of those in this region.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, warm welcome to these guys for being in our studio. Thanks for coming out and listening to what we've tried to portray with regard to helping the community and just making a difference and really taking the time to care. Because I would argue that if you're going to do something, you might as well do it right, and often it does save you time, because you don't have to do it again.
That's right. Absolutely.
And you don't have to spend time on something you halfway did that didn't get finished, and now you have to start over on something else. And it looks like you guys have that philosophy that really makes it happen and put together such an impactful way for families in the place that they're going to live and raise their kids and family.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Stay tuned for more, ladies and gentlemen, to Your Little Castle Show.